Now we're going to be joined by the head wrestling coach, soon to be director of wrestling programs at Baldwin Wallace University, Coach Jamie Gibbs. And his Yellow Jackets are coming off of an absolutely outstanding weekend of competition up at the OAC Duels at the ONU Sports Center. And Coach Gibbs, thank you very much for joining us here on the BW Athletics Roadshow. Always a pleasure.
Back at you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
First and foremost, Coach, congratulations on all the success that you've experienced this entire season, but especially after this last weekend. I mean, you have to be extremely happy with the results you got. Going up to Ohio Northern, you beat the Polar Bears 34-10. Then you take on another top 16 team in the country, that team from University Heights, and you just absolutely dominate 40-6, and you follow it up with a big win over Muskingum 47-12. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. We accomplished what we went there to do, and that was, put our best team on the mat. And those are two of those teams are very, very good teams. And they had some guys out, but we went there and took care of business like we should. And coming off of placing at the national duels 6 out of the last 7 years, that was a great follow-up after that. So.
Yeah, I mean, talk about that as well. Placing at the national duels. I mean, this is a program that now has that expectation level of, hey, we're not just happy to be here, we belong here, and we can do better than what we've shown in the past. I mean, that's a whole different mindset that's really been fostered over the last 7 years that you've been here. I mean, you've really helped foster that development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have high expectations for our guys, and they develop throughout the season, and they rise to the occasion, and it's been a lot of fun to just kind of buy into what's expected of them.
Yeah, and how much of that starts really in the wrestling room when they're at practice? We've talked in the past that sometimes you want your hardest matches to be in the wrestling room. You want what the performances on the mat when it counts to be not as difficult as what you've faced in practice. I mean, that's really where it starts. That's the bread and butter of the program, is just the depth you've been able to build.
Right. We talk about the toughening process a lot, right, and putting them in adverse moments daily so that when they, face it out in these challenging moments or these big moments, they're used to it. That's what they do on a daily basis, and it's part of their lifestyle.
Yeah, and it's a completely different lifestyle than other sports. I mean, the discipline that goes involved, and I don't want to seem like I'm a fan, like fanboying out, but just I have a special appreciation for wrestlers. What you're able to do, I mean, it's not easy. You see your friends, they go out after a game and they, have food that's not good for you or what have you, but wrestlers are always watching what they eat. They're except when Michael makes the run up to Spud Nut Donuts, but we won't talk about that. But they're always having to have that discipline and getting up early, burning off those extra calories so they can make weight. I mean, that is not an easy thing. Forget about the whole competition aspect of it. There's just a ridiculous physical fitness aspect that they have to hold themselves accountable for.
Absolutely. What they put in is what they get out. You put crap in, you get crap out. You don't put anything in, you don't get anything out. And so, they have to be disciplined. You hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah. Looking at what you've been able to accomplish this year, you have several young men that are nationally ranked individually, and then obviously the team is top 5. But when you look at what Jacob Decatur, Jaden Hinton, and Michael Petrella have been able to do individually, and then not take nothing away from what Doug Byrne has been able to do as well, because he's just been phenomenal. I mean, those are 4 guys that really help set a tempo for the rest of the team. Like, hey, this is how we compete on and off the mat. This is how you need to compete for us to be successful as a team, because it's nice to get that national championship individually, but this team has what it takes to compete for the national title as a team.
Right. Yeah, those are some great leaders. And you got Backpack Tommy West in there, too, at 157, who's really coming onto his own and beating some nationally ranked guys. He's going to pop in here to the top 10 here real quick.
Yeah, I think he was 12th going into the weekend.
Yeah, and he just had a big win over the weekend, and he's had a couple of wins over top 8 guys in the country, and He's making a name for himself,
and he's coming from a high school program that's
right.
known for its wrestling down in Lakewood at St. Edward High School.
That's right. You know, you got Michael and Jake being returning national finalists, and you know, Jake just joining us here at the semester, so he's just getting going. Jaden's made a big jump since last season, and then like you said, Doug, you know, he's been a returning All-American, and you know, he was ranked 3rd in the country last year when, you know, he had that herniated disc that kept him out of postseason. So, you know, you're talking about some good guys that got, you know, the other 5 are feeding off of, and I think we're going to have some other guys catch fire here soon.
How important is rest versus rust? I mean, you don't want them to get rusty, but you also want them to be healthy enough so they can make that stretch run in the postseason and really show what they're capable of.
I think recovery is everything, you know. If you have great training without adequate recovery, you know, you don't make those gains. And so we spend a lot of time and a lot of energy not only talking about but executing recovery with their nutrition and their sleep hygiene and their social hygiene and, you know, some of that discipline that we talked about early, Matt.
Yeah, looking at what you've been able to accomplish over the last month or so, I mean, you mentioned the national duels. When you look at what you were able to do, you tie the number 9 team in the country, Wisconsin Whitewater. After a hard-fought loss to the number 1 team in the country, you respond by beating number 23, number 7, and number 10 in the country. I mean, those are some impressive totals that you were able to put up. Yeah. I mean, does that build momentum for what you're getting into with the stretch run of the OACs?
Yeah, no question. I mean, obviously the year, you know, going there was to, you know, to try to win the national dual meet championships. But honestly, we have a different makeup of a dual meet team this year compared to the last couple of years, and so I couldn't be more proud of our kids the way they competed. Just guys accepting their role. You know, because we shook up the lineup a lot at the national duels, and we have continued to, because, you know, we got 5 weight classes that are kind of really unsettled, and so we're trying to figure some of that out. And when guys are getting their name called, Coach Zastro does a phenomenal job of putting together game plans, and the rest of the staff, and you know, he breaks things down and gives us our best chance to put the right matchups out there to go out there and win these dual meets. And when guys' numbers gets called or the weight class gets called or the name gets called, they're going out there and they're executing, and that's special. You know, they're not getting caught up in playing time and things like that. They all want it, but they're controlling what they can control. And
right. It's a great problem to have as a coach, isn't it?
And that's a great recipe for success. You know what I mean? They're not, you know, sometimes they want to be out there and they don't get the call, and they're respecting that decision, and just, you know, so when they do get those opportunities, they got to go out there and make the most of them.
Right, and you're seeing that from the guys. They go out there and they're like, hey, I don't know if and when my next opportunity is going to come. I have to show up and show out, have some success. Otherwise, I might find myself on the bench.
You know, and that could be overwhelming. And I give credit to our guys that they're not letting it be overwhelming. They're going out there and they're wrestling free when their number gets called, and they're trying to do the little things that make a big difference in those tough moments. Not to say that they don't have their hiccups here and there,
right?
Like every team does, you know. And then they regroup, and they're always evaluating and trying to get better and grow.
Yeah. So you're off this weekend, and then you get the 36th John Suma Invitational on February 4th. How nice is it going to be to compete in an invitational and to be able to stay at home and to take part in that tournament that has so much history here for Baldwin Wallace University?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy that we're this far along, and you know, before we know it, it's going to be the John Suma.
Right.
John Suma is awesome. You know, it's a home tournament. It's very competitive, and it's a great opportunity for, you know, because again, going back to our lineup, we're still trying to figure some things out. So that's going to be a really important competition for some weight classes to figure out who's going to be our regional starter when it comes postseason. So. And, and then competing for a team race there, and it's the most important event because it's our next event.
Yeah, and it's also the last time you'll be in front of the home crowd this entire year.
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for you to showcase the program, and much like I was talking to Steve Thompson about with the BW Women's Basketball Invitational and the Men's Volleyball Invitational, it's another opportunity to showcase the campus to maybe some prospective athletes that hadn't necessarily done experienced BW as much, but then they come to this big wrestling tournament and they see, wow, this is awesome. I want to be a part of this. It's a great recruiting tool.
Absolutely. And, Coach Thompson's done a great job with the game day experience. Our last dual meet with Otterbein here last Tuesday was awesome. Got the drums coming out, you got the smoke, you got the lights, you got the spotlight, and it's fun.
It's almost like a pro wrestling atmosphere.
Yeah, right. The fans are into it. It's good.
And it's nice to see, though, that your team pays it forward too. They get a lot of support from the students, but then they're also sitting front and center to cheer on the men's and women's basketball teams. That's the fun part about small college athletics, is it really is a family regardless of the sport you compete in.
Absolutely. And we'll give them nudges and try to let them, get it on their radar when we're at home, especially when we don't have a lot going on. It gives them something to do, and again, like you said, if they pay it forward, they're going to get it in return, and everybody likes to compete when there's more people there. And
makes it exciting.
It does, and it's something to do on a small campus, and it's fun, and
Yep. Well, Coach Gibbs, thank you very much for the time. I greatly appreciate it. We'll get you out. I have one more question for you, so I'll get out on this. I started to do my close and I wasn't quite ready yet. In addition to your responsibilities with the men's wrestling team, how much excitement is there in the wrestling room now that you had the announcement earlier this year that there's going to be a women's wrestling program here at Baldwin-Wallace in the near future?
We're super excited to see that all come to fruition. I think we're still ironing out some details with administration as to, what that setup's going to look like. We just announced that we're going to have this. In fact, we just met today about a new facility, and so we're going to have a brand new facility and a brand new women's program to continue to grow wrestling. Not only we want to continue to have wrestling bring value to the Baldwin-Wallace community, campus community. And then grow wrestling in Northeast Ohio. So at the addition of a new facility and a women's program is gonna help do that, help us accomplish our mission.
Yeah, women's wrestling is something that's really picking up steam. Other colleges are really starting to pick it up. But now there are high schools that are having their own teams for the women. It's a nice opportunity to see how the sport has grown because, in previous decades it's been one or two women here or there competing on the men's for the men's team, and now they're getting their own opportunity to run with really good opportunities.
Yeah, and it's just going to continue to multiply fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it doubled or tripled its numbers this year once the state of Ohio sanctioned it. So I expect those numbers to keep on multiplying.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing what the future holds, both for your team and also for the upcoming women's team here at Baldwin-Wallace. We know that as long as you're going to be associated with the program in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you're going to find a way to make it competitive and successful. So thank you very much for the time, Coach. We appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the way. Looking forward to seeing what your team can get done over the final couple of months here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Matt, and good luck to all my fellow Yellow Jacket coaches the remainder of this winter season and as we get into the spring season here.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we're maybe 5 weeks away from getting into the spring season.
Yeah, baseball
full bore.
And lacrosse and the outdoor track season, indoor tracks going on right now. So it's an exciting time.
Absolutely, it always is. Coach, thank you again for the time. I greatly appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's wrestling coach Jamie Gibbs here at Baldwin-Wallace.